Hi everyone, I'd first like to introduce myself. I am Mrs. JEALYN HAMOAY and I am honored to present to you this topic orientation and overview of the course. I do hope to keep you guys fully switched on throughout, so let's get stuck in. So what is comparative education? Before going any further, let's talk about what these two words means. According to Merriam Dictionary, the word comparative means seeming to be something compared with others, while the word education means knowledge, skills, and understanding that you can get from attending a school, college, or university. Well, then, combining the two words, comparative education is a discipline in the social science that involves analysis and the comparison of educational systems such as those in different countries. Comparative education is used in the development of educational testing, procedures, and the creations of educational programs and frameworks. So, comparative education is a fully established academic field of study that examines education in one country or group of countries by using data and insights drawn from the practices and situation in another country or countries. Programs and courses in comparative education are offered in many universities throughout the world, and relevant studies are regularly published in scholarly journals such as Comparative Education, International Review of Education, Mediterranean Journal of Educational Studies, International Education Journal, International Journal of Educational Development, Comparative Education Review, and Current Issues in Comparative Education. The field of comparative education is supported by many projects associated with UNESCO and the national education ministries of various nations. In addition, Adienka of 1994 gives the following definitions for the concept. He said, comparative education is a study of two or more education systems. It is a study of how the philosophy, objectives and aims, policy, and practice of education in other countries influence the general development, policy, and practice of education in a particular country. It is also a study of how the development of education in the past, across the ages and continents, has influenced the development of education in particular countries. There are a lot of purpose of comparative education. The first one is to create awareness in the global educational trends and on how different countries manage their education systems. The second one is to understand and appreciate the challenges facing education in different contexts. Next is to enable us to compare our educational system with other world systems for differences and similarities which can be useful in policy formulation and reforms. The last one is to appreciate how different factors such as history, culture, politics, and globalization affect our education. Comparative education is often incorrectly assumed to exclusively encompass studies that compare two or more different countries. In fact, since its early days, researchers in this field have often skewed such approaches, preferring rather to focus on comparisons within a single country over time. Still, some large-scale projects such as the PISA and TIMSS studies have made important findings through explicitly comparative macro-analysis of massive data sets. Since we already know what is comparative education and its purpose, let's dig deeper and know its uses. One of the uses of comparative education is that it is being used in the development of educational testing procedures and the creation of educational programs and frameworks. Another one, it is being used to compare systems that can provide educators with ideas for revitalizing one system by incorporating elements of others, and it can allow people to track progress over time. Furthermore, comparative education can strengthen an educational system in addition to creating an objective method of evaluation and study, providing meaningful data for people who are concerned about educational outcomes and techniques. To wrap it all, according to Harold Noah of 1985 and Farouk Jubish of 2009, comparative education have these objectives. First, it is to describe educational systems, processes, or outcomes. It is to assist in the development of educational institutions and practices. Comparative education highlights the relationships between education and society. It also establishes generalized statements about education that are valid in more than one country. And lastly, it is to help the current generation understand the nowadays education systems with reference to the past. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for bearing with me, and this has been Jealyyn HAMOAY signing off.